Hello, everyone. Nice to meet all of you here and viewers out there. I am Sergey Sevantsyan, mastermind of ThinkTank community, and with a big pleasure, I would like to start today's show on DTV channel with ThinkTank hosts. Guys, I need your help actually today because I don't know how should I reflect. Being curious, being embarrassed, being excited, absurd, or sophisticated about all this bullish stuff and get free of bullish trend. Just let me know. On 2017, we saw because of derivatives, all the crypto drop. What's the pilot going on now? Big money matters, and all of that question have to know our today hosts on the panel to mediate questions and debate. Patel. I also welcome Rico, Marina, and Elizabeth Weber. Well, today with us, I expect two other guests, very interesting person, to join us. Your turn.
Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome again. Old faces all over again. So, your question, let me kick it off, Sergey. What do you make of all this bull run and compared to the 2017, 2018 cycle? Where are the similarities? Where are, I guess, the differences? Will it stick this time? Who knows, right? So
yeah.
if I kick that off and then bring it up to the panel, because I'll do the participating panel mediator, for want of better words. So my view on this is this time around, it will stick and the support levels won't drop like it did last time unless a catastrophic event happened. What do I mean by that? Last time around, some of us had been there for 1 or 2 years. We were also kind of like newbies investing for a year or maybe 2 years. But the masses had not embraced taking on Bitcoin. So what happened was there weren't too many regulations. There weren't too many people out there, for one of better words, lobbying the governments and the banks, because those are the people who are most vulnerable, and they see that in this market. So hence why the likes of Jamie Dimons and Nurul Robini, who still go out there and rubbishes it. But Jamie switched, and I don't want to get into throwing fingers at each other, but I'm sure he was, which is proved now, out there buying some of it after he thrashed it. Because major players, when they make those statements, it dumps the market big time. So you get a few of those big operators, it dumps. This time, a lot of the major players are in there. A lot of the governments are already doing their CBDCs. A lot of the banks are already adopting this technology. And a lot of even the what I call the cross-border kind of transactions are already happening with some of the biggest money movers around, including the Western Unions and the MoneyGrams of the world, which are not banking organizations. So this time around, I think it will stick. And the reason for that stick is I can't see it going down to 80, 90% down this time around. I will get into what my view is later on, because I'd like to open it up to the rest of them, see what their view is, and then we'll develop from there. Rico or Marina, who wants to go first? Marina, ladies first. Go on.
Oh, thank you, bro. Well, my moods are also definitely bullish, but not bullish on regarding like pump like we experienced like 2017 or so, but more the industry becoming more mature, definitely. And like Ru mentioned, like the trend of the governments building their own coins as CBDC, it's obviously like so obvious. Including also like institutional investors coming on board, like on the example of the MicroStrategy. But also what's more important, we see blockchain in more like mainstream use cases. We see also the growth of NFTs, like NBA, for example, building their own NFTs. So it's becoming more easy to implement, more easy to build on top of it. So when we're talking about bullish, it's bullish in terms of spreading the technology, it's implementing the technology, it's not just regarding the price. And I mean, I'm personally living in Spain, and only last month we have big involvement of government interest into cryptocurrency. For example, we had like an experiment, educational experiment, that one Bitcoin was sent to 350 parliament members, like in educational purposes, because they understand the importance of cryptocurrency, which means perhaps they understand the importance that it can help with upcoming economical crisis.
I'm sorry, one for each one or one for all of them?
It's like €1 per
one.
Oh, so everyone got like how much worth of Bitcoin?
You were saying, let her finish.
Yeah, I mean, in the news, they say €1 per person. How it was in the end, we don't know, you know, but they say that they educate the parliament, and the parliament want to learn more about crypto and the use because they understand the importance about it. And personally, as you're aware, like Spain is also like in economic crisis like many other countries because big percentage of it was tourism. So I do believe that cryptocurrency is something that can save the country, and Catalonia was very friendly even before the crisis regarding that by sponsoring young talents, technology talents, obviously. So like for me, bullish is something that, okay, we see that the governments see this how a solution that can back up the economy. You know, we see companies, mainstream companies who wants also to participate, create their NFTs and so on. That's bullish for me.
Okay, thank you, Marina. Whereabouts in Spain are you? I'm moving there next week, next month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm in Palma de Mallorca, beautiful island.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm moving to Valencia, so.
Oh, nice. Valencia is closed for COVID though, but if you manage to travel,
it's all crazy out there. Not as bad as Madrid and Barcelona and places like that. But anyway,
true.
Forget
Valencia
that.
has a big crypto community.
Don't worry.
I will have a bunker, as Rico says. Don't even stress about it. So, Rico, getting on from what Marina and we've said, I'd like to hear your views now, maybe on, we talked about governments. We know the governments and banks are so exposed if this thing really takes off. What's your view? Should, dare I say, Bitcoin just explodes now? What's your view how the governments and the banks will react?
I think the banks would just say, oh, it's just another, pump like 2017, and life goes back to normal for them, because they will still use their own fiat, and they'll still want more control over their own central banks, currency, treasury management. But I think for those countries, they are not doing well economically and having a very bad GDP, and they have nothing to hash on. I think that could be a good consideration for them. And for some of the states, governments who have, authoritarian control over their own state matters, I think they should also look into these options of hedging some of their, currencies with crypto, especially Bitcoin. So that's something that many people around the world in the Bitcoin space can lobby for. Not just us. A lot of politicians are lobbying for that. Especially I see Gordon is not in yet today. It's not coming today, I don't Is it coming today, Gordon? Is Gordon coming in today later on?
Yes.
He can comment on that because we can see that some of the team members from the Biden camp are very pro crypto. So I think that will be something that may be a good or bad thing for us. We shall see how things develops over the time. But I would say that this bullish moment is a very good PR marketing campaign for the whole crypto space. Being bullish, whatever it is, I'm afraid that if it's too bullish, it may not be a good thing for us for long term.
Well, yeah, because you could have the .com kind of scenario again, and we don't want that, or the crypto.
We experienced this in 2017 when it went up,
and we did 2017
for the next 2 years. We were like, If this happens again for another 2 years, we are going to back that. I don't think we want that. So I would say, personally, I wouldn't want it to go above 20,000. But looking at the FOMO and the sentiments of the market, it seems to be hitting there. But I would say, look, whatever the market is for Bitcoin, it doesn't change the perception on what Bitcoin is. Even though it drops to 10K or 5K, whatever it is, it's still Bitcoin. It wouldn't change the fact.
But the point I made, would it reach that 5K mark this time? Do you get that?
I don't see that happening this time, especially in the short few months' time. I would say around 9 to 12,000 range would be much more realistic, regardless how big is the dip coming to be. In pretty soon, in the next couple of weeks, we will foresee that happening. But that's my feedback.
And you think the next couple of weeks there may be a dump scenario because it will hit. In my view, it could hit 25 by the end of the year, and then you could probably see.
I thought you said 30 something last week.
Next year. Next year. Yeah.
Next year. Well,
next year by spring.
Possible. Anything is possible next year, bro.
Next year. No, my call was by next summer it will be 30. That was my call.
So if you think that Bitcoin is going to hit 20 something to 30 next year, what about the value of gold?
Oh, I knew you would come back to that. That's a question to me now, I guess. All right.
Yeah, I throw it back to you.
I'm sure you like catching me on that. That was Gordon's question. So my view on that, again, gold. So there's two types of assets, okay? We know it. For centuries, gold was the physical asset where people did it. And in the current day and age, it's Bitcoin, which is the digital asset of both store of value. In the 1930s, I think it was 32, 33 or something like that, one major thing happened, right? Whilst the whole world was collecting gold, Franklin Roosevelt, he went and said it's all banned, okay? So when they did that, who was buying? It was the government staking it. And US collected almost 70-75% of their reserves in gold. And then they stopped the ban and opened it up whilst they had the control. Now, so in my view, if Bitcoin goes to a stupid number immediately, like 1 million for argument's sake, governments and major banks will say, you know what? The small players can't play. Let's get this and collect our store, which I'm sure they're already doing, by the way, and say, now we control this. We will use it as a hedge fund. We will use it as a treasury. We will use it as a bond. We will do this. We will do that as a secure store of value, just like gold was. Now, you will have, in my view, coming to your question in a long-winded way, you will always have two schools of thoughts that gold tried, tested, proven for centuries, physical asset base. Most of the big family houses to most of the traditional investors always have an element of gold in their portfolio. Now they're moving, and I think it's less than 1%, to digital assets and things along those lines. So in the next 5 years, in my view, if something major happens to Bitcoin, should it get to 1 million, there is a potential risk where governments do Franklin Roosevelt again on Bitcoin. That's not conspiracy, it's just my thought.
Some of them already done it previously, certain governments.
Yes.
And we see that the more you ban it, the more people want to buy it.
Yes. So my view
I'm glad I tuned in at the exact moment that I agree with Maru.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree.
Gordon,
I agree with you.
Welcome.
Yeah. You missed out the earlier part.
I came in here just because I wanted to see the smiling face. No, I
Okay.
agree. We'll have our Bretton Woods moment where Nixon
Well,
sees
I'm
the
going to
gold.
come to your question in a minute. So let me
Mhm.
finish, and then I will give you that question. And so it's good time that you've joined. So, so my view is, if something like that Franklin Roosevelt thing happened for Bitcoin, guess who's going to be collecting it? As you rightly pointed out,
Gold.
Rico, it will be, no. They
And-
will buy Bitcoin. They will keep on buying
Ah.
Bitcoin. They will now buy Bitcoin, because look what happened. Years later with gold, what happened? No one was allowed to buy it. It was banned, like how some governments try to ban it even for Bitcoin. Then, because you can't go there to play, people want more of it, and the hodlers will stay, but the governments, big banks, will collect the 75, 80% to control the market so it doesn't pump and dump all the time. They control it just like gold does. So you will always have a mixed bag. All right? Yes, Rico, and then I've got to ask Gordon a question.
Okay, so that's a huge difference between a gold ban and a Bitcoin ban, because you can ban gold, but you can't ban Bitcoin. There's no way you can ban people from buying Bitcoin.
But you can't ban people even on gold. That's the whole point. It is not owned by anybody physically. It's
Well,
a
you
government
can.
thing. Nobody physically owns it.
Yeah, even
It's
if
the
they
same
do
as
a
Bitcoin.
ban, like what they did during
Same
those
as
days on
Bitcoin.
gold, they can't really ban it. That's
No,
the
no,
beauty
but-
about Bitcoin.
I know, but the gold is the same thing. Who knows how much gold you have in your chest at home? Unless a police comes and raids you, no one's gonna know. For example, so let's have a legal view on that now. Gordon,
yes.
are you there?
I am here.
Oh, well
Yeah.
done. So the question was, what if Bitcoin goes to a silly number? Will we see some movements from people trying to do this, which will only, in my view, make it more sought after, in my view. But just like-
What's
just like gold
interesting
happened.
is
Just like
Sorry.
how gold happened. Yeah, I like your black pussy, bro. What is
that's
it?
that's Soma. That's my cat. It's a fantastic question. When it was a hobby thing, it was work. It's that thing. First they ignore you, then they try to kill you, then they join you.
Yes,
Whatever that
absolutely.
expression
Yeah,
is.
yeah, absolutely.
The way I'm looking at it is Bitcoin is either the cause. Okay, I'm making an absolute sounding statement, but I don't mean this absolute. It's either the cause of the hollowing out of the dollar, or it's a symptom of the hollowing out of the dollar. And what America is famous for is not treating the causes of things, but
Correct.
just addressing the symptoms. Okay, we don't address our systemic issues. We just put makeup on it and say, look, it's better now. So I don't think we have the political courage here. I hope I'm wrong. I dearly hope I'm wrong. I don't think we have the political courage in the US to address the systemic causes for our continuing weakening and the fall of the dollar. So we're going to beat the baby, and kind of finger point Bitcoin. But what gives me potential hope is America is not the colossus it once was. And, as much as I love it here, we can't impose our systems. Hey, John, we can't, impose our worldview on the world. The world's just going to, give us the middle finger. I'm not going to do it on screen, and to go our own way. So we may try to ban it.
We're almost there. On
and I don't blame you.
On the crypto side, it is because of 90% of the people. If you ask them, do you want to be regulated or get investors from America? They'll say no. So,
yeah, I know.
World has moved
It's
on.
the same. It's the same now. Investor doesn't want money from China, especially Western side and Europe side.
Yes,
So it's the
yes,
same thing.
Same thing.
It's a perception matter here. Actually,
Yes.
it's more of a fear factor rather than
Yes.
your money
Let
is
me
not
throw
wanted.
one final comment. Keep in mind the difference between whether you can hold a legal asset and whether that asset is illegal. Surely everyone's right that the government can ban gold and you can hold on to gold. They can ban Bitcoin and you can hold on to Bitcoin. But just separate in your minds, just because they banned alcohol during Prohibition, that doesn't mean people didn't drink. But it's really two separate categories. Can you physically have it in the face of it being illegal? Sure, you can. You can have most things in the face of being illegal. You can have a fully automatic rifle, even if it's illegal. The question is, what's the consequence and who then is involved? And would making Bitcoin illegal have a consequence? Sure, it would. Would it stop its use? Unlikely. But it would surely change the way it's used. So I think we just need to be sensitive.
Absolutely. It's the way it's
that
used.
dichotomy.
Yeah. You hit it on
I
the
like
head.
I like
It's the way
Tony
it's
Wayne's
used.
background a lot. Yeah.
Who's?
Yes,
Tony's-
Ton with
yeah.
us.
His background's
Hello,
always the
nice to
best.
meet you
Hey,
here.
Tone, I'm happy to see you.
Tone's here. Hey, bro, how are you, Tone?
I'm good. I'm good.
And real sorry, did we
Long
say
time
happy
no
birthday
see.
to Catherine?
No, she's not been
Catherine's
here.
not here.
She's
Oh,
in the
okay.
hospital.
Okay, let me
Right.
finish on that, and then we'll get to Tone now. So, coming on to what you said is what you can't get. People want more of it, and if you ban it, people will want more of it. I'll give you a classic example. In India, for example, alcohol is banned in the Gujarat state. Gujarat is the highest consuming alcohol state in the whole country, and is the highest consuming whiskey consumer in the whole country, if not the world. So,
Well, at least they have good taste.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Well, it actually makes sense that whiskey is there. It's the same thing. Like the U.S. was mostly a beer drinking country until Prohibition, and that's when it became a liquor drinking country because it was a lot more dangerous and harder to import and sell beer. It's a lot of volume, a lot of weight for a lot of risk for a cheap price. And this is how moonshine comes about.
Mhm.
You want to get drunk as quickly as possible with the least amount of chances of getting caught, and it's just a bad incentive all around.
Yeah. Tone, talking about moonshine, in your Wall Street days, did you ever have the odd swig?
Wall Street gets a bad rap mostly because of movies like Wolf of Wall Street. That's
Yeah.
not the norm. That's
Yeah.
really an exception. Like in my 10 years on Wall Street, I've never seen anyone do hard drugs. It only took about 3 weeks in the crypto space. So like it's no, it's a big
Really, I see everyone on Adderall.
Yeah. It's a big misconception. Most people on Wall Street, they have families. They're just even the investment bankers, even it's a job like any other job, and you gotta stay focused. Like it's a lot of misconceptions there. Oh, but the backgrounds. So my backgrounds are publicly available. I tweet them out, so anyone is welcome to use them. We're gonna have a lot more of these different cities. This is Vegas behind me. I have New York and Miami out, and there'll be more. We're gonna do some outdoor stuff as well. So feel free to use them.
That's good.
They're
Thank
open
you for
source.
sharing it. I'm glad you're sharing them. I've got so many. I'll open it
I
out.
should do one for like Southeast Asia countries like Malaysia, Singapore,
Yeah, it's a good
Shanghai,
idea.
Hong Kong.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have Dubai, Singapore. We'll probably do others.
You're
But yeah,
giving me
good idea.
travel FOMO big time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Favorite one from Tons is from the bunker when the just COVID started. Like it sure was fantastic.
yeah, no, the bunker ones were available too. No, I'm really upset about the whole travel thing. I'm not even upset that I can't travel right now. I'm more upset about what I see coming. When this whole thing started, I was of the belief, maybe this will be a few months and then it will all go back to normal. I am now convinced it's never going back to normal, and not in a good way. Airlines are already talking about mandatory vaccines, apps on your phone to track tracing and who you've communicated with in order to get on a flight. I'm almost mentally prepared never to be able to fly again in my life. So I'm kind of, in a way, I'm happy that I've seen so many countries in the last few years. But
Don't give up. Don't give up. We need you out there.
Yeah, you're
We don't give up. Anyway, let's hit with Tone the question what we debated earlier on, Tone. So we were talking about what do you think about the signals? Have you released your tone-based signals and tracking tools and all that that we talked about? Have you done that yet?
I know I released my indicator.
Okay, you have.
I'm a momentum reversal indicator.
Okay.
That's been released, and it's calling for a top this week.
Oh, fantastic.
This is the week of a top.
Okay.
I started exiting my bullish trades last week. I will continue to exit my bullish trades this week. I think a top is coming this month. We only have about 6 days left.
Few days
and
left.
I think there's going to be a pullback. I just think that
Absolutely.
Bitcoin has gone up a little too far, a little too fast. It's very difficult to break all-time highs after such exhausting so much energy getting to the all-time high. I could always be wrong. We can bust through it. We are in an overall bull cycle, and in a bull cycle, you should not touch any of your HODL. This is the time to try to save every Satoshi as they continue to rise over the next year or two. I am expecting at least 45,000 as the low end of this current bull market, with 150 to 200,000 as the high end of this bull market. And I expect this bull market to last anywhere from another year until all the way into the next halving. So the ranges are pretty wide, but they're pretty bullish. So this is just me exiting my trading positions in my retirement account. But as far as selling a HODL position, I would not advise that. This bull market is going to continue.
Yeah. And the other question I was asking earlier, Tony, is what's your view on if Bitcoin hits, say, 25 or whatever in the next 2-3 weeks? Do you think that a lot of the alts will benefit from it and get back to their highs? Because if it goes over 20K, that's taken it over its all-time high. Yet there are so many alts which are even in the top 10, not reached even 1/3 of that value. Do you think it will pull through that, or people will now get their own wings now and develop their own non-correlated Bitcoin-based pricing?
Sure. So everything I'm about to say applies to 95 to 98% of alts, because there are always exceptions. I don't expect any alt to get back to its 2017 all-time high. Now, the exceptions are if you launch your coin at the end of 2017, you can say, aha, I have my coin. You understand what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a $300. We're talking about a $300 Litecoin. We're talking about a $1,600 Ethereum or Dash, a $4 Ripple. I don't see any of that happening again. I don't. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible, but I don't see it. And the next time Bitcoin does pull back, these things are going to get devastated. And that's because it's just a very, very simple thing, in that there are always new alts and they're all competing with each other. And they're not even competing with each other on technology. They're competing with each other for brand recognition, PR, advertising. It's what Giacomo likes to call proof of news. So all of these alts are competing with each other on proof of news. And whoever wins the proof of news game can get their coins to pump, because it has nothing to do with the underlying tech. None of it.
Yeah. No, we agree. I mean, that's the kind of debate we had earlier, because the other question was, where do you see the lower end? So Crypto Marina,
Yes.
where do you see the bottom? I said valued, Rico said a value. What's your thought on where that bottom is? Should it correct itself as we all think it should?
Well, I personally against price speculations or price predictions. Nevertheless, it's nice to think positive. I don't think we will go below 10 anymore. But I like this expression, like proof of news, like Tom Weiss mentioned, but it's like more than that. I mean, really, to make the price, there are many tools like, market making, and the more budget you have, like the more price you can make of your project. It doesn't mean that the project is better than the other one. You just can invest more money, to make it better, to market it better, to PR it better. So I'm more like, my vision is more regarding the technology, as I mentioned before. Like, I think it's like that the vibe in the world is very positive regarding implementation, the technology, and going at mainstream from the government side. So it's like long term, like will be stable growth, but I'm not coming to the side of the traders. I'm not a trader myself. And I prefer to stay away of the price predictions topics, if you understand what I mean.
No, but if it's adopted by the governments, that will by sure, if it's taken by those governments, it will pump the price up, because that is the one thing that's stopping everything but exploding, really.
Yeah, but there is also another thing, how governments see use of it is like taxation. They taxating right now crypto in many countries, including Spain, like last
Yeah,
month.
yeah. I have a question to Gordon about that.
Yeah, please, Muru.
Yeah.
I have one question to Ton because he's the professional on derivatives. And as all of us see in 2017, we saw because of derivatives, all the cryptos drop. And what's the plot going on now? Big money matters or derivatives not works anymore?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that Bitcoin dropped because of derivatives. I don't think derivatives had anything to do with the price of Bitcoin dropping. I think it was a combination of two things. It's just that a lot of these things, a lot of the big headlines always occur at the end of a market. Like the best news headlines always occur at the very, very top. Just like the worst, most pessimistic headlines always occur at the lowest point at the bottom because it just can't get any worse. So everyone knew that those derivatives were coming, and they knew it for like 6 months leading up to that date. So people were just overly optimistic and had those derivatives launched kind of in secret, and no one knew they were coming, which doesn't happen in regulated markets. That only happens in unregulated crypto markets.
Yep.
So, but had that happened in secret, we probably would never have been trading at $20,000 going into that news announcement, and we would have kept going higher. So a lot of it, I don't want to say it's a complete coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It is a known unknown, like you know it's coming. You don't know what the effects are. So it was just it's just the way markets, again, it's just the way markets function. Just like the moment a couple of hedge funds went bust in the lows of 2020, here comes Bitcoin going from 4,000 up to 20,000 in a blink of an eye. It's just the way markets function. But if you guys don't mind me talking a little bit more, the question was, what do I think the low point will be, I believe,
Yes.
If we start pulling back, since we already talked about my views of the high points. I actually just tweeted this out, so hopefully more people
we covered low points earlier. All of us did.
Yeah, so we covered the high points.
Now let's do low points.
And my high points are pretty high at this point. So my low points, I probably should have stated it this way on my YouTube channel earlier today when I talked about it. So my low points, I need to separate the two types of low points. I have low points that are static, and I have low points that are dynamic. So let's go to the static low points first. Right now, my static low point is 14,000. So if Bitcoin tops anywhere in this vicinity, my most reasonable low static point is 14,000. Now that 14,000, I've started talking about it when Bitcoin broke 18,000, and I'm going to continue to look at that $14,000 static point as long as Bitcoin tops under 25,000, with the low end of that being 12,000. 14,000 is more likely, 12,000 is possible. Now, that's if Bitcoin tops before 25K. Now, if we keep going straight up this year and into early next year, and we go all the way to 30,000 or above, now my most reasonable static point becomes 20,000, the prior all-time high from 2017. However, the faster and the faster and higher we go, we open up a higher probability for my dynamic low point. And my dynamic low point is the 200-week moving average, which today is approximately $7,000. Bitcoin has always pulled back and hit the 200 weekly moving average. And the faster you go up, the slower that average rises. So the faster we rise, the bigger catastrophe we open. And but this dynamic moving average will continue to rise, and hopefully, it rises above 10 or 12,000 over the next year, so that becomes the ultimate catastrophic dynamic low.
No, absolutely. We all on the same page. In fact, Rico and me, right at the beginning, said between 12 to 14K is where we see the bottom, and I called a 30, 35 by spring next year. So almost similar views. Gordon, I'd like to bring you in here about the legal aspect, what we touched on earlier while speaking with Marina. If in legal ways, should the big governments, now the Americas, the Chinas, come in and do something radical, do you think it's going to affect the market? And what kind of legal things do you think they will do even? Because
It
they
will
are
surely affect the
foreign.
market in
Yeah.
the short term. It can't
Yes.
not affect the
Short term.
market.
We're talking short term, 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, because the big idea right now, or one of the big ideas right now, is that the institutions and the large non-crypto whales, like the gentleman out of Mexico, are finally kind of coming out of the closet and acknowledging that this is a thing, that it's, I'm hearing comments like, and I know you have a different point of view, or you have a point of view on this. They're coming out and saying, it's an alternative to gold. Maybe it should be, maybe it shouldn't be, but they're beginning to say that. They're saying put an X amount of your assets into it. There's kind of like, there's this FOMO thing of they don't want to be left out of the position. So the institutions are going in right now. So if the governments came in and started making funny faces at it, then this spring we're having, where we're getting out of this niche corner, but the institutions are really beginning to go in, would end for a while. But ultimately, returns talk and everything else is bullshit. So if some countries don't crunch down on it and their institutional investors make higher returns than the countries that do crunch down at it, the ones that get crunched down on, they have institutional power and they're going to fight back. So will we see a short-term thing? Absolutely. Long-term though, it's for Bitcoin to fundamentally die, you'd have to have a better technology. You'd have to have the segmenting of the internet, or you'd have to have a catastrophic failure of electricity, like a solar flare. It's very
but the
unlikely
question
at this point.
I think when Marina and we were discussing earlier was that it's largely based with taxation. Every country taxes crypto in different ways. And it's that kind of like threat the governments act on, meaning, I want to class it as capital gains or an XYZ asset class, so you can do dividends on it, or you cannot do dividends on it, or you can do it as a capital gains, or you can do whatever. So how do you think the governments will, if they at least have a common view? Would be nice.
Well, so it's a great question. Like, if they were to use tax as a vector of attack, how would they do it? Because in the US, and I think it's mostly similar elsewhere, if you hold if you hold property for less than a year and sell it for more, you pay one rate of tax on the difference between what you bought it for, which is the basis, and what you ultimately sell it for. You pay tax on the delta, and that's at personal income tax rates. If you hold something over a year, that's property, and you sell it at a gain, that's taxed at a lower capital gains rate. And then there's a slightly different tax rate for dividends. It's a kind of unusual system. We don't really have a VAT in the United States. We have it on a state level with sales tax, kind of, sort of. If I was the government and I was trying to not ban it, but sort of attack it, I would impose a wealth tax or an asset tax on it, or a use tax on it, so that merely by holding it, you have to pay some percentage per year. You have to,
even for holding, even for holding it, you pay a tax.
Well, yeah, you're asking me how would they attack?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so because they.
But you see that happening, really? Just by holding it?
Sorry, if we accept for purposes of discussion that they're going to try to tap down on it, and taxation is one of their methods for doing it, in that hypothetical, I'm saying that this would be a way to do it, that they could kind of side attack it without sounding like they're attacking it, but in real life make it very unattractive.
Yeah, I mean, tax on profit, I can understand. Whether you're a hodler or a trader, you have to make oodles of notes of what you came in at, bought, sold all the time, and doing tax on profit. So
let me make one final comment.
Negative, of course, it's not nice that we have to pay tax on it now, but from another side, it's recognition of this like a proper business, like a proper industry. You pay your income taxes of all your other incomes. So this is just like another sign that the industry becoming more mature and recognized, which is of course not nice.
They should tax it.
Like to pay tax.
My view is they should tax it, but they should tax it like in some countries, especially UK that I know, when you have a startup, they have a different tax level for a startup than they do an established corporation.
Yes.
So they should tax it in that manner, because it's us who is taking the highest risk and it's like going to a frigging casino. And how is that taxed? You pay a small amount, then your money is tax free. So they should tax it in a way for the early innovators, adopters, investors, all these categories at a certain rate up to a certain period of time, and then say from here on in, it'll be 10%, 5%, 20%, whatever it is.
Let me throw out two other tax concepts. There used to be in the United States something called a 1031 exchange, which was very broadly defined, which is if you had a real estate investment and it went up in value and you sold it, and then within a certain set period of time, you rolled it over into another real estate investment, you wouldn't pay tax on your gain. It's just your basis would carry over and you would delay the tax. It used to be able to do that, not just with real estate, you used to be able to do that with wine and with art and with all kinds of other investments. It'd be nice if you wanted to have a tax favorable, yes, maybe you should pay taxes on profit, but to me, it's kind of weird when you go from crypto to crypto and you're paying tax in between each transaction. From my point of view, you should pay tax when you exit the crypto into fiat. That should be the gain recognition moment, but I don't think the governments want to give that up. Also, to the comment that taxation makes it legitimate, that's kind of true. Unfortunately, in the U.S., you're taxed on all income, whether it's legal or illegal. And that's how you get you, because if you don't declare your illegal income, like Al Capone did, they won't get you on bootlegging. They'll get you on tax evasion. So you got to be careful. Paying tax on it doesn't exactly wash it.
Even if you wanted to pay tax crypto to crypto, you cannot see it anyway unless you withdraw to fiat, right, to your bank account. This is when they see it. This is when you pay tax anyway. Correct. In the end, I mean. Yeah.
And these are the things that will trigger a downward news. If something major like that happened with governments around the world, especially the top 3 or 5, if they said we are going to tax all of you guys in this manner and it's radical, then I can see another dump scenario. What do you reckon?
No, you're right. I mean, it definitely have a short-term effect. And maybe that short-term effect could be taken advantage of. It's a time to buy more crypto.
Yeah, the people who are going to buy it, they're going to buy. It's like, I'm not in that party, I want to be in it, right?
I just want to jump in here real quick, because your original question was, what kind of radical thing, and this is really fundamental. Your question was, what kind of a radical thing can governments do? And just like everyone on this panel and everyone around the world, everyone assumes how horrible for freedom and humanity this radical thing is going to be. No one even considers, is it possible for the government to do something radical that actually helps humanity? And no one is even considering that, because the last time there was a document that helped humanity was the US Constitution, whose amendments are continually being eroded. So at the moment, my view is, if a government actually wanted to do something radical to help people get out of poverty and help some freedom, the following laws need to be eradicated: the Bank Secrecy Act, the Patriot Act, FATCA, FBAR. FATCA is the foreign compliance. Basically, stop treating a person's money like it's criminal. Let a person have their money and do whatever they want with it. Money shouldn't be a tool for oppression. And that's and in the meantime, the laws that they're continuing to get tyrannical with are laws on money. Holding it, using it, smelling it, touching it, it doesn't matter. So the most radical thing a government can do is actually give people freedom to spend their money however they like.
I had this debate with somebody else. I said this, the radical thing about that is, from birth until death and even after death, you are paying taxes on everything. So even if you were to give your earned money, your pension, you are paying tax on. You die, you give it to your children, the children have to pay tax on it. So the same money gets taxed so many times.
And it's never enough, because every year is always at a deficit. So if they're printing anyway, what the hell is the point?
Yes. And the point I was going to say now, in China's case, where the government actually, and it'd be nice to hear Rico's view, is, you can have crypto, we'll monitor everything you do, who you spend with, how you spend it, and we may even tell you, by the way, illegal, you can't spend it there. It's all possible through the Chinese digital yuan. Rico, would you like to expand on some of those views?
I would say that you want to manage a 1.4 billion population. You better be smart about that. And you're a communist country. I mean, It's different from a bureaucratic or
Yeah, but
you know.
India is similar. It's 1.3 billion, and
Yeah, look at how India is developing in
Yeah.
that sector, and
Yes.
how is things going on that side in terms of infrastructure, economy,
Yes,
GDP growth.
yes.
So you can't say who is right and who is wrong, who is better, who is not. The Chinese government proved that their methods works for their system. So who are we to comment? When we are not Chinese citizen. Yeah, there's no privacy. Oh yes, there's privacy. How do you judge that? So I think people feel that they have privacy. For example, a man doesn't need to know his wife spending, and the wife doesn't want to know the husband's spending, or transparency between the two couple is an issue. But the central banks knows every shit. Like even in my country, in Malaysia, I'm sure my central banks know everything that I spend on, except for my crypto.
Guys, despite of paying taxes, we have to pay for services. And then we're going to find right services to paying for it. I think it's the reason. Not just the taxes for paying for, just for security or some being in this country, also for location or something like that. We have to pay for services. And when you're being responsible for that services, it's being much more better world.
So it doesn't matter what I pay with. Even if I pay a crypto, I'm still paying for the services anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the Dubai model works to some extent. There's no tax in the country, but you're paying for all the services. So it's very similar. So it'd be interesting to see how they develop as well. I was on a call with, the usual guys out there. And they were saying, they really, really want to make the legalization, the laws, the crypto acceptance, the whole 9 yards very quickly, because based on that taxation, they will say what will be taxed at what rate for what use, because they already have that, by the way. You go on any place for cars, trains, wherever, you get taxed for that service, but there's no income tax as such. There's no capital gains tax as such. There's no inheritance tax as such.
So aren't you moving there, bro? Why are you moving to Spain?
Yeah. I'll go with you, brother. I'm ready.
The issues are still
Well, I've been a Dubai resident for 12 years. I've been a Dubai resident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got out. You got out.
Officially.
Yeah, that's smart.
You moved out and then you never came back. Why?
Because at the time, Dubai had a big property crash, and I was in the real estate investment fund, and that place was not going anywhere. So I said, sidetrack. But yeah, within the next few months, I'm definitely back there, because there is a very good center and system, in my view, that will, if they get their shit right, it will really be the blockchain and crypto capital.
I think you're right.
It has all the writings on the wall if they can get that bit right. Because it isn't like how India controls it. It isn't like how China controls it. It isn't like how America controls it. If they just open it up, and of course I'm on some of their groups saying the same thing, they agree with this, by the way. So the mindset is already there.
Marina. Yes.
Yeah, like regarding taxes, I wanted to say as a last thing that there's, I think, one of the biggest issues is still we don't know where actually this tax is distributed in every country. Why don't we put everything in blockchain so that all people can see, what we're actually paying for?
But
we pay like normally like
it's not gonna happen. America will ban it, India will ban it, China will ban it, Russia will ban it.
I've talked about this.
I've talked about it so much over the last 5 years, I tell you.
I've talked about this publicly at conferences, going as far
same
back.
here.
Yeah.
I've talked about it back in 2015. The government would never ever want to do that.
Never do that. 5 years. I used to run public sector for Sun Microsystems and Siemens for 12 years. And I've been there from their side as well. And trust me, they are so paranoid about things like this to even share from one police force in one region to the next one in the next region. The criminal is the same. And I used to have these debates with them. Why aren't you sharing this intelligence with the other neighbor?
Because perhaps only 5% used for real purpose. The rest is just disappear.
It's crazy. So anyway, that was an interesting angle. Let's change it a little bit to where do we see this whole, okay, so we've talked about the crypto side, the ups, the downs, the tops, the bottoms. Where do we now see? Because in my view, it's already established, right? Because the fact that a lot of governments are looking at it, a lot of banks, a lot of hedge funds, institutions, it's kind of like accepted. Where do we now see the next big wave in terms of technology? Is it NFTs and beyonds? I always used to say DeFi and beyond. Is it NFTs and beyond? Where do you see this whole model of adoption of the money going?
I vote for NFTs. I think it's going to be.
I do as
next
well.
year.
Yeah, I do. No, but NFTs next
I'm a
5
big
years
fan.
still, because it's an asset. I never used to use the word cryptos and ICOs in the early days, and I'm think Tones heard me even in Singapore and various other places. I always used to call it asset backed because from what I said earlier, I was in real estate. I want to look, feel, see, touch my asset. So NFT gives you that in a digital world.
It gives you unique ownership,
In
and
a-
basically you can tokenize like
Anything.
digital and non-digital objects.
Absolutely, physical or
Trade them.
virtual. So NFT is the way, because it's, if you look at just real estate in general stuff, it's 250 trillion market just there. It's a huge market. So
And keeps growing.
it's ideal for NFTs. But let's hear from the other guys. Where do you see it going next?
So I would see NFTs going forward with a lot of changes in the blockchain space, including many people do not know there's a cost involved in issuing NFTs. It's actually a whole token contract if you issue an NFT.
Yeah.
So the cost of it has to be put into when you issue anything. You can't say I want to issue 1 million NFTs from how we issue tokens. So
it's
a lot
like
of people don't
real
understand
estate
that.
shares. It needs to be treated like real estate shares,
So a lot of real estate people in China, I have a Sanctum community in China now, and lots of them are talking to me about how to use NFTs on real estate businesses. And we are studying a few models to let them understand how do they structure the property in order to use it accordingly. So that's something that I think it will become a standard. I think the Chinese regulations are even looking into NFTs with digitizing physical assets in that way. And they're talking to the Beijing and Shanghai authorities already in this area. So they're moving very quickly, even though the NFTs trend only started in China maybe around July, August, a few months later after the international hype came in. So I foresee that NFTs is going to be growing into many other sectors besides the art sector. You'll be used in real world assets and real world supply chain financing products where the yields could be packed into NFTs for automation of yield generations. So I think that's something that Muro and I will be have been discussing quite a lot these few months. And that will become a realistic thing in the next 2 months. Because I'm involved personally in like 3 projects doing that already with farming, real agricultural farming, and where the whole contracts from the farms to the wholesalers to the importers could be put into a smart contract and pack that upside to NFTs. And investors coming in to invest can just buy NFTs and enjoy the yield. So that is an example of how NFTs can be used very easily. And conceptually, it could be acceptable by many people. So I think the mainstream of NFTs will come in pretty much next year. There will be a huge, bigger hype than this year on NFTs.
Yeah. And it's things we can touch. As I said, my 30 odd years of experience in real estate, NFT to me, it was never called NFTs, but the concept existed. I had a crowd fund, depends on how much we collected. The operations people kept operation fees, tax on the profit, and then the rest was shared with all the shareholders. Everyone had one unique loan agreement and one unique share certificate and one unique yield that we gave. Only now what we're doing is tokenizing it. So it's nothing new in my view. However, it's gagging for this solution to be implemented now.
And that's been my view all along. I don't understand.
Same here.
I don't understand what's innovative about NFTs. NFTs is not a technological problem. It's not a financial problem. It's not a technological problem. It's a legal and morality problem.
Just real quick. It's a way of taking the limited liability concept where you don't have locked in kinds of shares, but you can allocate items of profit and loss and rights and powers on a more granular, on a more detailed level. And to Muru's comment, it's perfect for real estate because the investors in real estate have more diverse interests than someone in a company. So it's sort of natively adapted for that. I think it's just taking what was a national legal concept and making it potentially tone. I think the point of it is it's taking what was a creature of national law and making it potentially global.
Yeah, but
regarding,
I mean,
can I just add something
sure.
very fast regarding Ton comments that there was no challenges or problems regarding the technology? It's a bit incorrect. I mean, even if you take in the case with CryptoKitties, when the Ethereum network went down, it was not enough scalability for like NFTs in order to functionate on the more like, you know, scalable term. So like right now there are new blockchains that can allow to do so, like Flow or other ones, you know, that can handle the amount of transactions and amount of people who want to participate in buying.
But my point is, you don't need a blockchain for this, right? So
you don't.
we have
You don't.
we have non-fungible tokens. They're called Apple stock, Google stock, and you can
Correct.
use the same exact model for other assets,
No,
whether
nothing new.
real estate or whatever. And you have an exchange that is responsible for holding on to them. Look, you can disagree with how these things function. You know, the DTCC, which has been the great white whale of Patrick Byrne, and the New York Stock Exchange. And then you have brokers that give you access to these non-fungible tokens. So these non-fungible tokens have already existed in forever. We can use like a stock as an example. And yes, someone in India,
you can use property.
Right. And someone in India or someone in Haiti does not have the ability to trade Apple stock through E-Trade. But that's not a technological barrier. That is a legal barrier that does not allow this guy to trade it. So there's no innovation here. It's just and trust me, the company E-Trade has no problem having someone, you know, from some country trading their stock because they're making money on it. They're being told by the government that they can't. One of my developers that helps me with my my indicator coding, he's from India, and he was actually volunteering to help me build my indicator because he was using it to trade, and he had access to all my webinars. And he learned how to trade options from me, and he loved trading options ever since he learned it like 2 years ago from me. And he was using the indicator that he was helping build, and he was trading options, but he's in India. So the only things he could trade were Indian stocks, like Indian currency, but he was using Interactive Brokers, same broker that I use, to trade options once he learned options. And then he sent me like the most frustrating message 6 months ago that India, the regulation between India and the US, even though Interactive Brokers is not even a US company, he is no longer allowed to trade options because he's no longer legally allowed. Okay.
That's crazy.
Sure. Right. It's an amazing hedging instrument if you know what you're doing, and he's no longer allowed to use it because of regulation. Now, that is a very efficient market. Now, can blockchain solve that problem? Well, yes, by getting around the legality of it, but it's not going to be as clean. It's not going to be as robust. The probability of a hack is much higher. I mean, these are functional, liquid, orderly markets, regulated markets. So if someone wants access to these markets, now they're going to use something insecure, something more likely to be hacked. Well, like I would trust that the non-fungibility-ness of Apple stock is a hell of a lot more secure than the non-fungibility-ness of any non-fungible token on top of the Ethereum network.
You absolutely hit it on the head. 3 years ago, Tone, when we first met, I was talking about asset-backed tokens coming back from my real estate investment funds, 2 funds, and I was trying to get some of my properties tokenized because, tokenization was the new thing. And you couldn't do it because it's so complicated, as Tone said, in the legal terms. It's nothing new.
It's the same as those days you can use
SPV.
STO model to do that.
And STOs came after that. So you could have the same asset, you create a separate SPV, separate vehicle. Everyone says, right, I own share X, Y, Z, and whatever the yield is on that, we will share it according to the shareholders. That is NFTs today. However, to make it legal is going to be very difficult. It's existed forever. REITs, the REITs market, real estate investment trusts, have been operating for donkey's years, at least 50 years that I know of, right? So it's tokenizing this is a challenge. It will happen because we don't need all those middlemen. We are trying to do that ourselves because 250 trillion market is no joke. So it is happening. It will take time, in my view, to tokenize assets in a proper way that people can take yields in a legal way. People will know where the custodial service is, and people will be able to trade your token on an exchange and say, yes, show me the legalities of the title deeds or the land surveillance thing, and all of these things need to be brought in rather than just a token.
So let me ask the group a question. Maybe you want to start with this. Do we have the technology now to do that? It's just a question of have the willpower and the work to tie it all together, or are we missing some Lego bricks?
There's so many things missing because real estate, I can tell you, there's at least 30 different stakeholders to make a legal transaction. Those 30 legal stakeholders, 90% of them, in my view, are so backward. You try and even say blockchain or smart contract, they are lost. You're talking to builders, chartered surveyors, so many people that's required to do one real estate transactions, let alone lawyers. Okay, so you being a lawyer, think about it. You have to control now and verify every one of these when you do your conveyancing report before you say, yes, this token is legit, and yes, he will get what he says he will in a smart contract according to the yield, and he owes NFT number 001. Nightmare,
so
right?
we have a lot of groundwork to do.
Yes.
Separate from the tokens.
Yes.
Just to get
Yes.
surveying and land records.
Yeah.
So that they can serve an oracle-like function for these transactions.
It's happening, by the way.
It's surely happening, but
it is happening.
I think what I'm reading to your answer is it's far.
Yeah, I know.
The Chinese regulators, the land department, are looking into this already in China. So
I saw
there's an
land
overhaul
registry
of the whole system.
Yeah. I sold land registry to the UK HMLR, the land registry company, 22 years ago. It was a small order, £5 million worth of computers to digitize all of UK's land ownership, titles, and all that, and it can be available online. When did it happen? About 5 years ago, they actually delivered something. So it's not in their interest to do it because it loses jobs and pensions. Now,
in the United States, land is registered on a county by county basis.
Yeah, but
you
it's not
file
digitized.
a physical paper deed.
No, I know how it happens.
It's crazy.
No, I know because I had properties in US, in Florida as well. But it's a nightmare. Can you imagine telling every county in the sticks in America to digitize their whole land ownership titles and the cadastro, as we call it, the parameters? It ain't going to happen. It takes people to go out with those cadastro things and exactly doing the geospatial tagging. Difficult, but it's classic. It's a great thing to do for existing buildings that is known, and that's where it will start. Low-hanging fruit. A project. Look at this tower, which is an office tower. I want to tokenize it. Break it down to 10,000 tokens, for argument's sake. One token is worth X. Each one is numbered. Which one do you want to buy? Based on which tokens you own, you get the yield share of it. Those things are doable. You see? But to do new, huge ecosystem-based projects, oh my God. Too many stakeholders.
I think I'm hearing that we have to nibble at the edges and get some underlying systems in place.
Which do the low-hanging fruits first. Yeah, do the low-hanging fruits first.
Just let me.
Yeah, go for it. It's your time now because it's 1 hour.
From the Jason Paris, he watched us now, and his comment is: the Venezuelan army is mining Bitcoin. Each military camp in Venezuela has become a mining farm. What do you think? What in army of the country is mining BTC? Economic blockade. I know it's a very interesting point.
Yeah, it's classic. Why Venezuela first? But we won't get into a political debate here. But it's obvious. It's obvious why they are doing it. Come on, even the army doesn't trust the currency there. What do you expect?
You can't compete with China and Russia regarding that, though, I think.
Well, the
And
country
no,
doesn't need to. The army
Yeah,
has subsidized.
Army has them.
Yeah.
They got free electricity on their camps probably, so that's the least of their worries. And for an army guy to go and build a rig is not that difficult. Those guys know their electronics very well.
I'll comment on that real quick. Look,
Go for it.
this is neither good nor bad. Just like money or Bitcoin is neither good or bad. It's all about who is mining this Bitcoin. Are the people mining it the same mentality as Maduro and Maduro and Chavez and Castro, or are the people mining it actually want to take Venezuela to be the third richest country in that hemisphere, just like it was pre-1990 or 1995 even. So it's all about who is mining it. And if bad people are doing it, it's not going to be great for society. But if people actually want to change and go back to Venezuela before they had their election fraud, it's a good thing.
No, very good answer. Earlier on, Ton, we were talking about, the governments, what they would do about such situations. Should it hit 1 million, would they ban it? And we also talked about, before you came, why governments do it, like Franklin Roosevelt time, they start to ban it, but then governments were controlling it. So Venezuela, if the army mine it and keep it, hopefully the government will hold some of a chunk of the Bitcoin assets. And that's the way they could also bring back the economy and create a spending thing back in and stabilize their currency.
But this is the problem. Like their current government is the problem.
It
right?
is the problem, but
so it's
but the army should be neutral. Should be neutral.
Are they?
Well, that's why I said it should be. Depends who in the army, whether you're a lefty or a righty, right? So
like it depends. I would love for a country like Costa Rica that has no army to start encouraging their citizens to an industry to mine Bitcoin with any leftover electricity that they have, and then that country will get richer. But look, I'm not paying attention to Venezuela. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I mean, there's only so much in the world you can pay attention to.
They changed the outcome of our election, right, Tom?
Well, they
don't start. Don't start. Don't start. Tone and I, we've had this discussion.
Sorry, bro. I just had to throw that in there because that was low hanging fruit. Come on, man. It's the Dominion software plus Venezuela.
Okay, so based on that, rumor has it that Biden or some of the people that can string a few words together are crypto friendly. What's your view from LA?
I don't think Biden is going. Hopefully, he'll last until retirement age. He's taking office as the oldest president ever, 78. I don't think he has an opinion about much. I think Kamala Harris, who's going to be president pretty soon, she was attorney general in California. She is a mixed bag. She came up with some good work on privacy, which I like, and securing data. I don't know if she's particularly crypto friendly. I don't know if any government could. The honest answer is I don't know. And I think they had their hands so full with the transition, they're not even thinking about it.
We had someone ask a question that there's rumors out there that there is someone in the Biden camp. I think was it you, Rico, saying that there are signs that they are more crypto friendly in the Biden camp. And it could be good, and it'd be interesting to hear.
Well, they're crypto friendly, but they're going to raise taxes through the roof. I mean,
yeah, but that's why they want to do it. In my
that's
view.
Pretty friendly because they're going to get everyone into crypto.
That's exactly why I think they want to do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to give you the answer.
So again, I don't know what that means, crypto friendly. Yeah. I mean, these are just random terms that don't mean
Here's what I mean. So you can answer it. My view is they have proper regulations. They shouldn't ban people trading in crypto. They shouldn't ban people spending on crypto. They shouldn't tax on top of tax on top of tax. They should have a clear definition that this falls under this tax bracket. And they shouldn't say, like the SEC generally does and interferes, sorry, you can't trade here. You can't open companies here. Banking, allowing banks to accept it, that sort of thing.
But at the same time, I'm tired of giving credit to companies or people for doing shit they're supposed to be doing anyway, right? Like we gotta get out.
The good actors, bad actors. Yep.
We gotta get out of that mentality, because when I hear someone is crypto friendly, to me it sounds like they're scam friendly. Like for example, we're crypto friendly, and that's why we think that we should move all of these things on top of Ethereum, even though it's obviously not a functioning database. Same thing with something like Ripple. Like, well, we're crypto friendly. It doesn't matter that Ripple is an illegal security. We're crypto friendly, so it's okay. So crypto friendly doesn't mean anything. The only good thing that's happened during this election was the election of a senator in, I'm sorry, I forgot her name because I can't keep up with everything, out of Wyoming, who actually understands Bitcoin. So she is not crypto friendly. She is Bitcoin friendly because she has
because of Delaware. Quite a lot of companies out there, Toad.
She's not I believe she's out of Wyoming because like her son-in-law.
Wyoming as well.
Right, because her son-in-law is part of a company called Unchained Capital that provides Bitcoin loans, completely understands Bitcoin, understands what a blockchain is, understands what shitcoins are, and so does she. So having someone like that.
Lots of companies there in Wyoming. That's why, Todd. And that's good.
But the point is, a statement like "I'm crypto friendly" is irrelevant because it's not you. You don't know anything. It's your advisors. And who are your advisors? Are your advisors scammers? Do your advisors understand crypto? Because your inflection will only be that of your lobbyists and your advisors. And if you choose poorly, it's going to be bad whether you're friendly or unfriendly. It doesn't matter.
You know, wouldn't it be nice if the world government said, you know, we don't care. Let's start with a flat 5% for taxes on profit. If the whole world agreed to an amount like that, I can assure you 99% of us would say, you know what, I don't care. At least now I don't have to say I have a bank account here and I can't withdraw it here or set up an account for my company here. And they will ask all these things and close you down. So that's the thing. If some governments got together and just said, look, forget it. Here's the rate. Let's all go with it. Adopt it and embrace it. We have George, I just spotted over here, who is on mute.
Wait, is George in a bar? That's the key question.
As usual. George
is George partying with the United Nations?
Yes, guys, you know, actually,
he's always in a dark place.
Wait a second.
So get into a nice place.
George, look who's here.
George, Julia. When I can see you.
Oh, Julia, hey.
Hey, Julia.
No, I cannot hear. I'll translate. It's Julia too, yes.
Yay.
Okay, George, let's we're going to ask you some questions.
He's coming to Dubai anytime soon.
Yes,
we're waiting for the Dubai.
Okay, I'm going to mute you, George.
Well, today we also have Korea in Dubai as well. This is Korea.
This is George.
Yeah, Rico. Yeah.
Can you mute him? We're going to ask him questions.
Hey, hi, Andrew. Hi, bro.
Hey, brother.
Hello.
And Sergey is there as well. Yeah. So I told you, everybody came. I'm going to steal you one by one to Dubai.
No. So we need you to ask a question.
Yes, I have muted him. Yes, if you haven't discussed something.
George, answer a question or just keep mute.
I can answer all the questions you want. Tell me.
So, where do you think Bitcoin will top and where do you think it will bottom based on the current move?
Okay, let's first say a few things. Number one, I'm not, this is important. I am not a trader. I'm not a Bitcoin investor.
But you have an opinion.
However, I'm a mathematician. And as a mathematician, I do have an opinion, yes, like you do.
Exactly.
My opinion is that big factors like, for example, PayPal, coming into the crypto custody world has created a shortage of Bitcoins. So like any other business, if there is a shortage
supply and demand
of a given asset, it's going to go up. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, will it go up to 100,000? I don't think so. But definitely in the 20 to 25 range is quite realistic. before it kind of corrects itself, before people wake up and say, oops, I think we went a bit too far. But wait. Let me, I'll do better than that.
Answer questions.
I have Mr.
I want to see your
Bitcoin here.
nightclub.
Wait. See, we have the experts here.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
can you have? This is Mr. MMM Crypto, you know? Chris. You know Chris? Chris? Okay, good.
No.
So, Chris, no, you cannot hear, but I'll translate for you. This is Rico. There is Sergey in Moscow. Rico is in,
Singapore.
what is it? In Singapore.
Malaysia.
Where's my friend Ton? Ton is there as well. Ton, what is Ton? Ton, say hello.
Hey
there.
guys, how are you?
Hey, nice to see you. We're all here in Dubai, so we're waiting for you. Anyway, so Mr. Chris is going to tell us what is your opinion on the Bitcoin price and where is it going?
Top and the bottom.
This is live, huh?
Fine.
Yeah, it depends on the time frame.
It depends. But in the next short
No.
I can't tell you.
He cannot tell you. See?
I thought you had the experts then. What happened,
He
George?
is the expert.
One thing I can say. I opened 3 trades. One trade at 9,400, one trade at 10,700, and one at 11.7. And I took 50% of my profits from these trades already, and invested that right. One trade, it's a long-term trade, I didn't take any profits. One trade I closed completely, and the other trade I took more than half.
Lost him totally.
Right now, I'm fine with
George, we
it.
can't hear him. It sounds like a lot of
So I
bullshit.
can hear it. No, basically, he's
Okay,
saying he
we're gonna
took
go,
a lot of
George, sorry.
profits already.
It can go up, it can go down.
Okay, can you mute George? Tony,
Gordon,
Tony.
pleasure as always. Rico,
Yes, please.
Sergey, Maru. Sorry guys, I gotta
See you,
go.
bud. Yeah. See you, bud.
See you, Tiran.
Yeah. Okay, so Sergey.
Yes, we're here.
Okay, back to you. Mute George because it's always disruptive.
You know, it's really fun. It's after all the, I don't know.
It's the nightclub. Is this an after party call? George is the after
that's
party.
why
George is the after party after the event's finished.
Yes, that's why I'm letting him in. Okay.
I thought so. George is the after party. So let's wrap up and summarize, okay? And then, each one of us can say where we think it's going. So from my view, moderating this, thank you, first of all, Sergey. I think what we've heard is, yes, this bull run will continue. I think we are unanimously agreeing to that. Whether it'll be 25K, 30K, whatever it is, it will come down. Where will the bottom correct this time? I think majority of us agreed between the 12 to 14K mark. There's a huge support level at that 12 to 14K mark. And then on that 12 to 14K mark, will it then explode again? Yes, I think as a collection of people, we think it will explode again because the big guys are coming in to take it to even a bigger number, and the supply is very little and the demand's huge. The other thing we talked about was the government side of things. Governments need to embrace this. We're all in discussion and agreement in that. And the governments will embrace this at some stage to whatever level they can. However, they need to standardize on some form of taxation, which will give it the real, true rubber stamp on it. I think those are the main points. And if Bitcoin breaks out, I think something Tone mentioned, if it breaks out, I was saying, will the altcoins have their own wings? Will you see a few altcoins going away and finding their own wings, tops, bottoms, whatever it is? Yes, Tone thinks 90 to 98% will probably follow the Bitcoin correlation. So with that now, Marina, you go first, ladies first. What do you think in terms of what we might have missed in summary? What else would you like to add as a final comments, observations?
It's very great. It was really great to see all the faces from the conferences, and thank you for inviting again. And it's nice to see that everyone is so positive thinking. So it seems like everything, just have a great signs for all of us. I personally feel very happy about all the current situation, like in the market, and it feels safe and calm when the whole world like have this craziness. You feel like secure anyway because you're on this side. And yeah, I hope more people realize that because it's like a safe haven out here. And yeah, I was happy to see everyone.
Great. Thank you, Marina. Nice to see you again. You've changed your hairstyle since we last met, but that's another story. I'm sure Rico will remember that. Rico, what would you like to add? Parting comments.
I would say let's be hopeful of this year's crypto bull run, and whatever it happens after this, we should look forward to next year. I think next year is going to be an exciting year for the crypto space. We will see a lot of exciting things happening in NFTs, in regulations, in adoption of blockchain solutions and technologies. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Look forward to talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, Gordon, parting comments, summaries, observations.
Sure. I love a good bull run as much as everyone else. It feels good, but I think no matter what, the point is to keep our eye on the ball. We're all in this, not money's nice, but we're in this for like the effect that these technologies and systems can have, and to keep our eye on the ball and keep on working. Enjoy the euphoria of the pump, but just keep it serious, keep it working, keep building, keep collaborating, keep on building relationships.
Yeah, sure. Georgie boy, would you like to add something? If you can unmute.
Oh yes, I did unmute myself. I do believe that the money generated from this bull run will help to service funding of some new projects and new ideas, and that is good.
In terms of, you've come in now. In terms of technologies going forward, one of the things we also talked about, and I know it's passionate subject for you, is the future. Where do we see it? DeFi, NFTs. Maybe you like to add your view on that.
Well, actually, I do believe that the future is in a much more uniform. I do believe that the neo banks, or what we call virtual banks, are the way to go. Now, those virtual banks will use a multitude of instruments to be successful. They will have a little bit of DeFi, a little bit of ETFs, a little bit of tokenization, and so on. But the key thing is that they will be much more agile organizations than the current banks that exist today. They'll be much more accessible to everyone, so much more inclusive. And overall, the most important aspect is they'll have much lower cost structures. These lower cost structures will make them live a longer lifetime.
And where do you see in terms of NFT adoption at the short, medium, and long term ranges?
Well, I believe NFTs, it's still early in the game because I think NFTs to be really taking off have to be associated not just NFTs for NFTs. Some will have to be associated with physical objects or physical assets. And this, by the way, applies the same to DeFi and the other asset classes. The ones that are able to merge the real life assets with the virtual ones in an effective way, then you're creating real value. Just virtual for virtual sake is not going to be enough in the future.
Absolutely agree. Right. Sergey, can you just share the screen for a second with me, bro?
It's already done, yes.
Yeah?
Whenever you want, yeah.
It's shared?
Yes.
Okay. So about 10 years ago, I think we are all saying the same thing here. 10 years ago, I used to have a saying, which I think George hit it. That's what reminded me to show you this slide or photo. Is that? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So 10 years ago, I made a statement for everyone because having come out of the property crash, I made tens of millions and lost tens of millions. And what it taught me from that and the dot-com crash, having been there, is never chase fame, because I was crazy partying and playing and real crazy lifestyle. Never chase fame and fake successes. Chase excellence and the real successes will follow. Okay, so that's
Cool.
exactly what we've been talking. If we chase excellence, real success will follow, rather than looking for the FOMO situations, the quick buck, the bad actor ways of doing things. That's what makes this market have a bad reputation. So we must all, as evangelists or business people, chase excellence, and we will all get success. So wishing you all great success, guys, and look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you, Muru.
Thank you.
Good job.
Catch you
Thank you.
later, guys.
Interesting.
Good job. See you guys.
Yes.
See you guys soon.
Sergey.
Thank you.
I wanna
Keep
say-
building.